Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Ruma Paul, welcoming all to Chaitanya Studio of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar Open University, Ahmedabad. We are dealing with lecture series of postgraduate diploma in marketing in the subject of international marketing. Students, you must be familiar in this subject. We have 4 blocks. In that 4 blocks, we have different kind of units. Today, we will learn the block 1, which is the first block. So, in this block, you will come to know about the introduction. In introduction, the concept of international marketing. Then, you will come to know the international marketing process. The features of international marketing. And today, we will focus on unit 1. So, unit 1, it's all about the concept of international marketing. So, here we will, here we will come across the basic things about international marketing. We'll come to know the concept of Swadeshi. We'll come to know the poor growth of India's economic. Then we'll come to know the definition of international marketing. Here also we will come to know the importance of international marketing, and we will come across the problems of international marketing. So let's start with the block objectives, means why we need to learn. The learning objectives, right? So the first thing, after learning this unit, you will be able to understand the India's trade deficit, the reason behind India's poor growth, the poor export growth. Then we'll come to know the national economic self-reliance. Then we'll come to know the meaning and importance of self-reliance and the concept of Swadeshi. Then the last thing that we'll come across, that is definition of international marketing, and we'll come to know the features of international marketing and the problems of international marketing. So the first thing that we need to know, that is, many developing countries around, adopted the programs of import, the import liberalization and export promotion in the 1960s. And what they have done, they have achieved, remarkable success. So such countries included, it's Japan, Singapore, then Hong Kong, South Korea, and Taiwan. So the success of this, these countries has promoted. Actually, they have prompted many, economists and international agencies such as the IMF and the World Bank to advocate import liberalization and export promotion as a main part for many economic goals. So facing developing countries like India following the footsteps of such countries. So the government of India adopted the policy of trade liberalization in 1991. The trade policy of 1991 introduced, many reforms to open up the Indian economy to foreign trade and to integrate, it with the global economy. So, in the new international economic order that is taking shape, with the setting up of the WTO, which is World Trade Organization in 1995. So, here, after learning this international marketing, you will come to know about the knowledge checks after every topic to check your understanding. The unit will further offer you assignments, activities, and case study also you will come across in your SLM. So now we need to know about the reasons for poor growth of India's export. So what is the reasons of this this lesser growth? So that we need to know. So the first thing that, a brief account of the major problems of India's export sector is given. You can see this diagram, through this diagram. So here is the first one, that is a high cost. Actually, in a large number of, cases, a high domestic cost is an inhibiting factor, right? The second one, that is a poor quality image. So India has a very poor quality image abroad. So this is also another reasons of poor growth, the poor growth of India's export. Then unreliability. This is the question actually. This is a major problem, that is the unreliability. So besides quality, India exporters have been regarded as unreliable on many issues, like going back on a contract and refusing to fulfill it on its original terms, and also failure to provide prompt after sales services. So this, for this also, this economic is getting, lesser growth. Then another one, that is supply problem. So a serious drawback of Indian export sector in its inability to provide continuous and smooth supply, in adequate qualities in respect of several products. So this is also another problem, a faceless presence. Although India is an important supplier of several commodities, in foreign markets, but her presence in these markets is faceless, in the sense that the consumers do not know that these commodities are from India, right? So another problem, that is a infrastructural bottleneck. Why it is infrastructural bottleneck? Actually, infrastructural shortage, such as energy shortage, inadequate and unreliability, then transport and communication facilities. Actually, this all the hinder growth. This all the hinder growth in exports due to higher production costs. Another one, that is a structural weakness. So actually, a major handicap of the Indian export sector, is its structural weakness due to the absence of a systems approach to the process of management, the process of marketing, in the process of information, planning and decision making. For this actually, we can say this is another reason of poor growth of India's export. Another one, that is uncertainties, procedural complexities, and institutional rigidness. So one of our defects of our trade policy regime has been the uncertainty about future policies, incentive schemes, and etc. are there. And another one, that is inadequacy of trade information system. So an efficient trade information system is essential for success in the dynamic global market, but we do not have an easy access to market intelligence and information, right? So here we can see this nine problems. Because of this 9 problems, we can see the poor growth of India's export. Now moving forward to know about the self-reliance. What is self-reliance in the context of international marketing? So when it comes to self-reliance, what we mean, it means the own self, right? It means about the India. So self-reliance refers to a country's ability to cater to its need of goods and services from domestic sources. It should not depend upon imports of anything. If country imports, it has to part with foreign exchange, which diminishes its economic ability. Now we need to know the importance of self-reliance for Indian economy. So why it is so important? India faced many problems, after independence, like shortage of food grains, lack of capital, then outdated technologies, and underdeveloped industrial as well, right? As agriculture sector. So to understand Indian economy, you need to analyze these factors. So then you will understand why self-reliance is important for India. So here, the first importance, that is shortage of food grains, right? So after independence, India faced, severe shortage, of food grains, which lead to unrest in the country. So the situation forced India to enter into agreement with the US for the import of food grains under the program, it's called PL 480. So it provided short-term relief to the country, but produced various, repercussion like political blackmailing. So adverse impact on domestic producers and others. So, however, after the withdrawal of this PL 480 and subsequent the Green Revolution have solved India's food grain problem. Today, the country has sufficient food grains production. But we need to actually we have got the solution, but we need to know the underdevelopment of industrial structure. So India did not have industry at all when it got independent. So as soon as the planning process began, it focused on industrial development, or industrial development. So the second 5-year plan laid, great emphasis on industrial development and set up many basic and heavy industries like iron and steel, coal, then cement, then heavy chemical and others. So the second 5-year plan is remembered as industrial plan today. Okay, now the another more important that is scarcity of capital. So India also faced scarcity of capital. It was low on savings and mostly faced deficit in balance of payments. So when a country with a weak economy take a loan from a developed country or a financing body, the donor imposed strict conditions, realizing the weak bargaining power of recipient country, which affects its decision making abilities. Right, this is also another importance, and the last importance which I have cited, that is obsolete technology. India's technologies are outdated, so they are not capable of providing economic thrust that India needs. So the country badly needs to focus on research and development to keep pace with the world. Now, next one, which is very important, India's achievement towards self-reliance. So India has achieved a little bit in self-reliance, like food grains production, capital equipment, then manufacturing, then science and technology, and capital formation. But a lot more has to be done. So, so if you're saying about this self-achievement towards self-reliance, the first one, it comes self-sufficiency in food grains. So as a result of Green Revolution, India produces enough food grains now. It has taken almost 10 years, but has produced fantastic results. This is a major achievement. Another one, that is self-reliance in capital equipment. So due to the boost of second 5-year plan, India's public and private sector have also developed capability of manufacturing of machinery, then plant and many more capital equipment. So India can set up industrial plants, with indigenous know-how machines, know-how machines. So in this way also. Now the next one, that is self-reliance, self-reliance in science and technology. So India has taken giant strides in short span of time in science and technology. So we have started quite late compared to the developed countries, but yes, we have started a slight late, but we are able to launch satellites in space on our own. So we can send our device on Mars on far less, right, cost in comparison to many developed country. So we today have technical know-how of many critical technologies. We do turnkey projects and produce atomic energy on our own abilities. So the next one, that is self-reliance in capital formation. So we have also made considerable, headway in domestic savings. So India's, GDS, which has earlier 8.9%, is now stands with 25%. So we are less dependent on foreign aid now. However, no country today can progress today without foreign investment, we all know. Okay, the next one, that is balance of payments, deficit and self-reliance. What it is. So although India's balance of payments position has always remained unfavorable, right, through a conscious effort the conditions since 1993 to 1994, when it was last for 1 year, right? So have been a distinctly favorable. In addition, noteworthy feature in India's balance of payments in recent years has been improvements in the invisible account due to mainly a spurt in tourism earnings and shift of private transfers from illegal channels to banking channels. Now the next one, that is energy crisis and self-reliance. Now, at present, India is facing a serious energy crisis, and until it is solved, the country cannot hope to become a self-reliant. It's obvious. Along with the acute shortage of power and energy resources in the country, there is also the problem of high losses in transmission. The distribution, subsidized rates offered to the agricultural consumers have lead to inefficient use of electricity. So India has to depend on foreign MNCs for this, right? So here we can see the self-reliance. These are the things that India achieved towards self-reliance. These are the good points, and why it is important, that also we have come to know. That 4 point, that is shortage of food grains, then underdevelopment of industrial structure. The third one, it was a scarcity of capital and the obsolete technology. Now moving forward, we need to know about concept of Swadeshi. Before, we need to know about international marketing, because once we come to know the national base, it will be very easy for us, or it will be effortless for us to come to know about the international marketing, right? So moving forward to the next topic, that is concept of Swadeshi. So what is concept of Swadeshi? Swadeshi means it's our own. Swadesh means it's our own. The concept of Swadeshi emphasizes actually full internal liberalization and selective external liberalization. So what is internal liberalization? Means end of license raj, so as to permit domestic companies to set up production capacities as per their own plans. Then when it comes to selective external liberalization, it means permitting foreign, it's giving a permission, permitting foreign collaborations only in selective areas as per national priorities. So here we come to know that what is concept of Swadeshi. So it is like a internal liberalization. It is also selective external liberalization. Now moving forward, now we need to know. Now we focus on international marketing. So we need to know what is international marketing, right? The definition, that also we need to know what is international marketing. So international marketing is a broader concept and includes export marketing, and this export marketing is concerned with the production of goods in one country and marketing them in a different countries of the world. While international marketing is a broad, it includes globalization. Right, it's include globalization. So MNCs and TNCs, joint venture and foreign collaboration, it comes. So international marketing is a process of planning and implementing the conception. It's pricing, it's a promotion and distribution of ideas, goods and services to create exchanges between nations that satisfy individual and organizational objectives. Right, and this definition has given by American Marketing Association. Now moving forward to features of international marketing. What are the features of international marketing? So these are the features. Here I have cited the 9 features, right? So the first one, that is a large scale operations. The second one, that is a dominance of MNCs, TNCs from developed countries. The third one, that is a trade barriers. And the fourth one, that is a trading blocks. Fifth one, that is a international marketing research. And next, that is importance of advanced technology. And then foreign exchange regulations, then 3-phase competition, and the last one, that is the international organizations. Now we need to know more about large scale operations. We need to know more about all the headings. So the first thing, the first features is it comes under the international marketing, that is the large scale operation. So what is large scale? What is large scale operation? So price is a vital factor, right? So it shows the exporter ability to sell goods on reduced price. So large scale operations is like a bulk transactions right? Full capacity utilization, it helps reduce overall cost, leading to reduced price. Understood? Now, the next one, that is dominance of MNC slash TNCs from developed countries. So what it is actually? So the international trade is dominated by MNCs, and TNCs, which originating from developed countries. Right. So the next one, that is trade barriers. So trade barriers are, planned restrictions. We can say the planned restrictions to slow down, free movement of goods from one country to another. So these are done, actually these are done for, these are done to protect domestic industry. So there are two types of barriers, that is a tariff and non-tariff. So tariff barriers are taxes and duties, and non-tariffs are licenses and quotas. Understood? Now the next one, that is trading blocks. So what is trading blocks? Actually these are the associations of countries, situated in a particular region where, whereby they come to common understandings regarding rules and regulations to be followed while exporting and importing goods among them. So for example, we can say, yes, we can say European Union. Right, this we can give examples. So the next one, that is international marketing, right? International marketing research. So here we can say the needs of people, of an area differ from the needs of the people of another area. So that's why marketing research should be done to understand the needs of the people of the area, of the particular area. Say for example, this area, in India has their, India wears, Indian girls, Indian women, they wear sari, right? So in, when it comes to our, our things, in our area, the sari is very famous. But when it comes to international market, maybe there are few who knows about the sari concept, the concept of sari. There are very less, they wear it is, right? So it's also depend on the area, because people are from this area would be different, people are from that area would be different, right? Now the next one, that is importance of advanced technology. So advanced technology, why it is so important? So advanced technology is a critical. So today in today's business, right, it's always been a very much important. So the US, the Japan, Germany and others, other dominant international business, they are dominating due to the advanced technology only, right? So here we can give example like we in India, we are using the smartphones. So we are using smartphones from, most of the smartphones are coming from China, almost, and China and even the South Korea, right? Even from Japan also. So here we can see that they are very much advanced, their technology is very advanced. So for this also, this, international marketing actually booming. Right. So we are, most of the people, we are using Samsung, which comes from the South Korea, right? We are using this OnePlus, it comes from the China, right? So this, for this Oppo we are using. So in this way also, this, advanced technology also makes a matter, when it comes to international marketing. Now next, moving forward, that is foreign exchange regulations. So currencies of different countries are valued differently due to conversion, conversion rate, which changes frequently. Like conversion rate means it's like, dollar, it has, like now it's going, I think 68 rupees or 70, 70 rupees, sometimes it's, fluctuating, it's a volatile. So it comes 70, 78 rupees. Even yesterday, the pound was, it was like, I think 92 rupees. So in this way, this is, this is a fluctuating. Even the dinar also, this is also fluctuating. It comes, one dinar in India, it comes 230 rupees or 248 rupees. Right? So in this way also, this, this it's changing frequently. So for this reason, a country has its own rules for the collection of export proceeds and the payment of for import to another country. Now the next one, that is three-phased competition. So what is three-phased competition? So international marketing is a very competitive, right? So an exporter faces three kinds of competition. So that's the reason it says three, So the first, he has to compete with other exporters in his own country, The second one, that it has to, compete with exporters from the other countries. The third one, it has to find out most competitive suppliers in his own country. So for this is saying three-phase competition. Now, the moving forward, the next one, that is international organizations. So, international trade, is done as per the rules and regulations of the United Nations. Because United Nations, what they are saying, they have to, they have to maintain that, or they have to follow that. So, in a conference on trade and development, it comes under UNCTAD and the World Trade Organization. So these organizations are, responsible for promoting international trade. Right. So these are the features that we can say, very important features about, international marketing. Now, the next one, that is importance of international marketing. Why international marketing is so important, right? That we need to also know. So, no country in the world is self-sufficient in all its domestic requirements, right? So, international trade plays an important role, a vital role, a significant role in the economic development of a country. So, the first one, that is division of labor and specialization. Okay, so certain countries, enjoy comparative cost advantage in the production of specific commodities due to the favorable climate conditions, right? So here we can say the technical, they also know how, they are also advanced in technical know-how, as I said, like China, Japan, they do. Then, easy access to raw materials and efficient human resources. So such countries produces commodities in excess, in excess of their requirements and exchange surplus production with other countries. So for the commodities they are deficient in. Right. Now the next one, that is increase national income and per capita income. So due to division of labor and specialization, each country produces commodities, each country produces commodities for the which it is best suited and export surplus. Export surplus production. So similarly, each country exports commodities, for which it has comparative cost disadvantages. So this, this generates additional income and saves real income by making available imported articles at competitive rates. Now the next one, that is facility transfer of technology. What it is? So some countries like Japan, USA, UK and Germany are highly developed in terms of technology. Right, while most of the Afro-Asian and South American countries are backward in technology. So this directs the flow of technology from technically advanced countries to technically backward countries of the world. Now the next one, that is resolves balance of payments crisis. So balance of payments may be defined as the difference between the monetary value of exports and imports of a country. When the outflow of foreign currency, inflow and from the unfavorable balance of payments, in order to solve such imbalance, a country needs to export. Now the next one, global peace. So in the age of nuclear weapons, there is a greater need of promoting dialogue between various countries, of the world. International trade may be a medium for promoting exchange of ideas, thoughts, and thereby help promoting international peace and promoting international peace and friendly relation among the countries of the world. Now the next one, optimum utilization of resources. So a country can make an optimum utilization of its natural and human resource by promoting exports. Next is employment opportunities. So development of export brings about multiple increases of employment opportunities. It also creates employment in other related services sectors such as banking, insurance, advertising, transport, etc. Now the research and development. So international marketing is highly competitive. So in order to survive cutthroat competition at international level, every firm operating at the global level needs to undertake continuous research and development. So this leads to development of technology in countries of the world. So the next one, that is, special problems of international marketing. So moving forward, the special problems of international marketing, the first one, that is long distance, So yes, this is also the main problem of international marketing. So it's like a problems like competition, currency, fluctuation and long distance. So yeah, the first thing that we will, we need to know, long distance. So trading companies can be situated in any corner of the world. So goods have to cover long distance, which expose to various kinds of risk. However, goods can be insured against perils of sea. Moreover, long distance also causes delay in delivery in most cases. and high risk and uncertainties. It's obviously right. International trade is exposed to commercial and political risks. So political risk may occur due to aggression. Commercial can be insolvency of importer, or failure to accept goods by the importer. So however, these insurance covers are offered by the Export Credit and Guarantee Corporation of India against such risk. Now the customs formalities. So customs laws are lengthy and complicated. So each country has its own laws. Sometimes this laws creates barriers in the movement of goods to ease the exports, like services, clearing and forwarding agents. Now the next one, that is trade barriers. This is also important part. This is also a problems of international marketing, right? Trade barriers. So, trade barriers are the planned restrictions to slow down free movement of goods from one country to another. These are done to protect domestic industry. There are two types of barriers: tariff. Already I have told you, tariff and non-tariff, and and also licensing and quotas, right? Now the three-phase competition, this is also we have come to know that an exporter faces three kinds of competition. He has to compete with other exporters in his own country. Second, he has to compete with exporters from other countries, and he has to find out the most competitive suppliers in his own country. Now the payment difficulties. So different countries have different currencies, and already I have cited it's a different, like we are we are using we are saying it's a rupees. In other country it says a pound. So our currency is a rupees. Their currency is in a pound, even dollar, right? Dinar, euro. So this is like I have different countries and conversion rates. So these rates are subject to fluctuation. So thus an exporter may suffer a loss. So there is an exchange rate after entering into a contract with foreign buyer. So losses on account of fluctuation in the exchange rates can be eliminated by entering into forward contracts. Right? So we have come across this also. So the next is a check your progress. So which you can do at your home, right? Even the answers also cited in the below. So if you want to more about this topic, you can go through this. You can take the help of these books. Okay. So so I'm concluding this session. So in this unit, we have come to know the concept of Swadeshi. We have come to know the self-reliance, right? We have come to know the importance of self-reliance. Even we have come across all the topics of self-reliance. Even we have come across the definition of international marketing, the basic concept of international marketing. We have come across the features of international marketing. Even we have come to know the importance of international marketing. Even we also come across the problems of international marketing. So in the next lecture, we'll also go through the export, import. We will also go through more about international marketing. So thank you all.